Good morning, everybody. Again, I got a touch of hay fever. That's the redness in the eyes. It's okay. Normal for this time of year, so it's definitely a sign of spring is coming. Uh, I'm wrecked again today. It's one of those days where I woke up like I didn't get any sleep, and it's the same thing as it was a few days ago. It's not very pleasant. What I'm going to this time, rather than sitting around doing nothing, I'm actually going to physically force myself to do something. I have a few odd jobs and DIY stuff to do that will be a bit strenuous. So I'll do that. I'll do that instead, rather than sitting around like trying to feel better. It could be some kind of virus or something. I don't know, but it's everybody seems to have it. It was universally expressed on my Facebook page when I mentioned it. Now, I want to talk in this video, this part of this Corona Chronicles, about the concept of social isolation and space. Stay the fuck home and all this stuff, right? Now, if you look at one of the pathological trajectories of the control grid, one of its prime objectives was to destroy intimacy. And this goes right back even to romantic, sexual intimacy. They wanted like free love and, casual sex at the forefront of our existence, where bonding and intimacy were basically pushed out of the way to the uniqueness of those bonds and the sacredness of those bonds, and that intimacy was to be removed and destroyed and replaced with the, if it feels good, do it thing. Now, although that's also a form of social isolation, because basically people get united through their sexual organs and don't connect on any other level. And therefore, they're not connected. They're socially isolated. They're sexually connected, but they're socially isolated. Now, this went on. They've always wanted this, they've always wanted this whole thing of like no connection between people. And that then transpired into the feminist movement, where all men, particularly white male, were default rapists by their existence, and therefore don't come near me, don't invade me. And there was even feminist images shown on the subways with boxes made of wires around them to stop anyone from coming within a meter of them, touching them or being near them. And that made its way into the coronavirus. You see people wearing these bizarre contraptions so no one can come near them, like all the head cases and hypochondriacs. And you also had within the kind of the safe space. The safe space was I need my safe space, and all the snowflakes needing their safe space. I need my safe space, where they could go and cry and not be bothered by reality and other people and opinions that might challenge their own. And now we have it officially mandated in most nations. Now we have safe spaces, the 2 meter rule of the 7 foot rule if you're in an imperial zone. And it's destroying human contact. I don't know forever, but it's definitely damaged it. You see it when, like, I was in the supermarket yesterday, and like you'd be moving along the aisle and people would be jumping out of your way. Oh, sorry, if they felt that they'd accidentally intruded upon your 2 meter square of uncontamination, because everyone is just like the feminists made it seem that every white man was potentially a rapist. They've now made it seem that every person is potentially an infector, so a disease carrier. And so intimacy is being assaulted directly. And also, I saw this video where there was this old bitch was on the street in England, and she was getting all the neighbours to dance, basically bullying them, I might add, to dance to a Tom Jones song. And you could see like the sheer, they were desperate for human contact, but terrified to come within a space that would dance up close to someone like this. And there was this guy, one young guy dancing, that it was like pure. It was the NPC shuffle. It was the funniest thing I ever saw. That's how he was dancing. And they're all facing this old bitch who was spinning in the streets and stuff like that. You know, she's an absolute. Those people like that are usually monsters. The ones who would be the first to report to anyone. And she was probably. And you have to remember, for all the morons who came out on the street, there was. There was people who stayed indoors going, get me out of this fucking neighbourhood. So the normal ones. Now, another thing is the clapping. What has the clapping replaced? The handshake. More intimacy. Well, thank you very much. Now the clapping. So we had jazz hands. Remember that we had jazz hands? They told us that clapping triggered the snowflakes. Remember that? Don't clap. You know, all these university students in England. Yeah, don't clap. It triggers it triggers people. Do jazz hands. Now they're all setting off fireworks and everything. So that just ended like that. Like the same way all the other diseases in the world stopped happening when COVID-19 came along. And still, the TikTok videos of doctors and nurses are still flying. They're still flying out there. It's they're the new superstars. They're loving it. Their egos are gone through the roofs. And I mean, I know there's lots of great people that work in health services around the world. I'm not saying there isn't, but the main thing they're making these videos, and some of them either getting even more. It's almost like they're being deliberately tormented or gaslighted. They're getting more and more complex, rehearsed, and choreographed to these dance routines. And then, like I saw one video, people outside the hospital in the north of England, all the meat golems going performing, like the performing seals waiting for their fish, and yeah, so and that's another form of intimacy. It's replaced the handshake with a pat on the shoulder. You did fucking great. You're gonna have footballers when they score a goal, they'll be told they can't hug each other on the pitch anymore, and they'll go to their and don't touch their friends. And in the stands, when the fans all hug each other when the team scores a goal, that'll all stop as well. They'll go like that to each other because they might infect one another. So they've got the destruction of intimacy. They have demolished it, and I find it very interesting how the two Latin countries where people can't keep their hands off one another, Italy and Spain, where touching and fondness and caressing and hugging and kissing and all that stuff is central to their existence, and yet they were the ones it had the biggest police states during this scamdemic. But even the Irish are very touchy feely as well, and we're all destroyed now. And like I said, I go to the supermarket and I see them now. Just because they're all destroyed doesn't mean you're all destroyed. Another thing I've noticed is I'm fascinated by cowardice. The ones I'm seeing with the most frightened of stepping into a safe space, or have the big mask around their face or a bag around their head, are the fucking hard men around town. They're the most frightened. The hard men. And the ones who go to like taekwondo and karate and boxing, they're completely wrapped up terrified. I find that very interesting as well. They're the ones who are the most terrified. And so that's an insight for you right there. I'm a black belt in taekwondo, and he's wrapped up terrified he's going to get like a disease that won't kill him anyway. And the BBC even admitted yesterday that 9 out of 10 of COVID-19 deaths were 9 out of 10 were had pre-existing conditions. The other one was probably an old person. Yes, there would have been the odd number that does die from it who would be healthy. Relative, there could be underlying conditions we didn't know about there either. But I'm just saying, we'll give him that. But remember, to die of COVID, it's only 1 in 1,000. It's no more than a seasonal flu. The stats are showing maybe even a lot less everywhere. Now, but they wanted that terror of connection in there. So you'll see things like safe space dancing, safe space sports, and all this. This has always been their thing because human touch and human intimacy is something the psychopaths can't do, and it's an alien concept to them. Also, politicians. Have you ever been around politicians? They don't know how to act around us. They're like, or even these established elites. When I say elites, I mean like the aristocrats, the establishment. They're like this. They don't know how to react around you when you're there. They're terribly uncomfortable. And that's because they don't know how to relate to normal people. They are the Uber NPCs. I'm going to make a videos about NPCs on, you might find interesting, on Open Source or Cult TV after this. But they're the Uber NPCs. They don't have any real emotional. Look at Zuckerberg. Look at Bill Gates. Just look at them. There's no person in there. There's nothing. And so intimacy and attachment would be nothing to them. And in fact, it would be cumbersome and awkward and even worrying to them. And so therefore they don't have it, and therefore they impose their their psychiatric issues upon the rest of humanity, assuming that they're the ones who are healthy and the rest of us are broken. And that's where that all comes from. Now, uh, I would say to everybody, be more huggy, kissy, and feely when this ends. That's it. Except with people who were snitches. The story. Anyone who snitched, like, on anything, one's a snitch on one thing, a snitch on everything, and people who are prone to these kind of snitching kind of behaviors, uh, have nothing to do with them ever again. And excuse me, I'm all bunged up, but the the intimacy thing, restore it. Don't let them take it away from you, because that's important. Be extra affectionate with the people you care about and love, your friends and everything. Spite them. That's, hear about like the love revolution. Well, here's a chance to actually really have a love revolution. If you love someone, don't shy away from expressing it. Like the song, I see friends shaking hands, saying, "How do you do?" They're really saying, "I love you." Jazz hands, jazz hands. Don't let them fucking do that to you.